Okay, we're going to tell you about our project to do some big data analysis of Twitter user characteristics using Apache Spark. The dataset we used for this project was 100,000 tweets containing the word Olympic. These were downloaded while the Winter Olympics were going on February 15th, 2018, using the public Twitter API. We wrote a Python script adapted from an open source example and used it to download 100,000 tweets. So, the quick overview of our whole project and how we did our analysis. We first loaded the tweets as JSON into Apache Spark and HDFS. We came up with 10 analytical queries to get user characteristics, and we implemented them in Spark SQL. We created a standalone Scala program to load the data, execute the queries in Apache Spark, run the Hadoop jobs to get the data, and then at the very end it would download the results onto local file system. Finally, we loaded the data into Kibana to create some nice visualizations. Technologies for the project were Java 1.8, Hadoop 2.8.1, Apache Spark 2.2.0, Scala 2.11.8, Scala build tool 1.1.4, and the Kibana package is part of the Elastic package 6.2.4. The full list of queries is here. We did a number of aggregate queries to do things like get the number of followers for a user's screen name, get the count of tweets in time zone, and so on. Kibana console gives a nice overview of the visualizations. You can see some of them here. I don't have time to go through all the queries, but I'm going to show you a few. Here's the first one. This was a simple query to get the username and the followers count for the top 20 users. When they're presented this way, you can see our user Nikon Sports has 56 followers. Another query that we were wondering about was what type of Twitter client is in use. And so we did a query number 4 to get a distribution of tweets by Twitter client type. And this was visualized with a histogram. You can see the Twitter for iPhone is the most popular, with 34,851 of the 100,000 tweets being made on that device. Twitter for Android was the second most popular, 29,129, and then far behind that was the Twitter web client. To do the Twitter platform query was actually a little bit tricky. The data comes in JSON as a full-fledged escape URL. And so in order to parse out the simple name for what the client is, we had to do a regular expression. This was implemented as a user-defined function that then we used to parse out just the content between the two angle brackets. And that gave us a nice, simple, clean way of looking at what the client was. The 9th query was to look at the number of tweets tagged as containing possibly sensitive content. This is a Twitter tag they put on some tweets that determines whether there's questionable content in the tweet. And you can see this nice visualization of a whole circle. The red tweets, the red part of the circle represents the tweets that are not possibly sensitive, while the green represents those that might have sensitive content. You can see that most tweets about the Olympics are safe for work or family friendly, but not all of them.
For visualization, I'm using ELK stack. For that, I've loaded data in Elasticsearch, indexed in Logstash, and then doing visualizations in Kibana. Now I started Kibana in my local host. In the Discover tab, I have loaded all the data from different sources into the Kibana server. Now all the text query data is in the Kibana server. In the visualization tab, I have then created visualizations for the 10 queries which are listed below. The first query is user screen name versus number of followers in descending order for the first 20 followers. Next, number of tweets for individual time zones. Next, count of users by country. To find the patterns, all the queries data are sorted in descending order. Next is number of tweets based on Twitter client type. We can see that iPhone has the highest, followed by Android. The next query is number of tweets based on language. We can see that language English EN has 75,147 tweets. Query 6, user screen name and number of days since they joined Twitter. Next query, query 7, count of tweets by country or time zone. See that Pacific time US Canada has 14,901 tweets. Next is followers count of users that have more than 1,000 followers. Query 9, tweets which have sensitive content in them. Here red represents tweets which are sensitive, so 98.97% of the tweets are sensitive. Last query, query 10, is for the number of followers versus number of retweets for tweets that were retweeted. Now I have created a dashboard to visualize all these queries at one place. I can sort and filter these queries and see the patterns of trends in the data at one place in the dashboard. Through this dashboard, the filters and sorted values applies for all the graphs simultaneously. Thank you so much.